So earlier we went into the joy of understanding the meaning of each of your names, and everybody was asking Ranganji what it means. Now we will have Ranganji and Sampada here on the panel discussion to see how our ancient wisdom can help address the modern challenges that we have. Whether it is about education, about learning, about leadership, health, and even any challenges that you find in your own personal life, you can ask.
And in many other domains, though we cannot just limit it to a few domains, and the role of Sanskrit in that. So we'll include all these topics and have some kind of discussion, some kind of thought sharing. And then children and others present here can also ask questions. So then we will try to answer to these questions. Now see, when we talk about the ancient wisdom, so there is a sense of past. Okay, this is something past, something archaic. What is the use of learning the Vedas, Upanishads, Gita, or any other Shastra, which happened so many thousands of years before, when the society was different, mindset was different, population was different, geography was different, the conditions were different. And at present the conditions are changed, mindset is changed, population is changed, everything is changed. And it's not 10 years, 15 years, 100 years gap, it's thousands and thousands years of gap. So whether that has any value to our life or not, that we have to see. And then when we turn to this wisdom, they're called wisdom, they're not knowledge. Okay. There is a whole lot of difference between the knowledge and the wisdom. And the wisdom is relevant for all ages, relevant for all people, at all time, in all places. Okay. So we have to see, when we talk about the past, whatever has been created in the past, so how much of that and in what manner it is relevant to us. If we can concentrate on that, because the purpose is not to become the past. If someone is thinking in this light, that turning to the Veda means becoming the past, becoming something like the ancient rishis. Yes, one should become, not physically, but what their consciousness carried. So it's not going back to the root. This is also another problem. Many people use this phrase, let's go back to the root. It's not going back to the root. In the evolutionary journey, there is no moving backward. It's always evolutionary journey, is always progressive, and it moves forward. So what is the role of the past? The role of the past is that we seek guidance, inspiration, insights, the wisdom which can help us. You cannot ignore that. So it's not going back to the root, but it's all about being rooted. Being rooted. You know, like I shared this very recently. Delhi University had invited me for a keynote address because they were launching their value-added courses. So they have created nearly 40 value-added courses as elective courses, which the students have to opt. They have to opt few elective courses. Now there I pointed out that, see, the situation today is that in Bharat, we are thinking of and designing value-added courses. We're trying to add some value. That means, that shows that our present courses have no values, right? We're trying to add. That is one thing. But if you look at our ancient Indians Gurukulas, there was nothing value added. It was all, every course, everything that we did was value rooted. That rootedness is gone. So that is why in NEP, New Education Policy, so you have rootedness as an important component. So by all kinds of efforts, we need to be rooted. And once we are rooted in our civilizational values, our civilizational ethos, then only we can really move forward with certitude, right? So there's this civilizational aspirations, we have forgotten that. Rootedness, we have forgotten that. The ancient wisdom which is always applicable in all ages, in all communities, in all places, we have forgotten that. We have lost our Viveka Buddhi. So now, Sri Aurobindo in his essays on the Gita, he talks about the truth, how it appears in the Shastras. Every Shastra has to have these two kinds of truth. One is a temporal truth, which is applicable at a particular time, to a particular community, at a particular place. And there is the universal truth, which is applicable in all ages, to all people, in all communities. So, my proposal to Sri Ranganji will be, so can you just touch upon some of these universal truth, values, dharma, which are there in the Vedas, in the Upanishads, like the simple sentences, even like Satyam Vada Dharmam Chara. Who will say that, no, this is not needed for me, this is not relevant, it has no relevance like this. So since he is very rooted in the Veda, he has translated and interpreted the entire Rig Veda, he has translated the entire Ramayana in English, and he has been speaking about the Vedas, Upanishads, and he has his own Gurukula. So I would request him to touch upon those universal wisdom and then link it with our modern life and leadership or any other like education. So then we understand the relevance of those and then assimilate, not imitate, not follow. So most of the time say like we should follow, we should imitate, we should be like that. No imitation, no following, but assimilating, making it a part of our own consciousness. This assimilation, Atmasat Karana, is very much necessary if we want to understand and then utilize that wisdom which was created so many thousands of years before. Okay? So, Sri Ranganji.
Thank you for starting with this topic. And Dr. Sampadananda Mishra ji was telling you about two streams. One Sri Aurobindo calls us truth in movement, another one truth in being. There's a beautiful translation for two words, Ritam and Satyam, in Secret of the Veda. So, regarding this Vyavaharika Satya, the transactional reality, values may change from time to time. We agree, of course, this must be the domain of Smritis. They may change from time to time. A few things were remaining as values before a century. They may not continue now. This is a domain. This is a Vyavaharika domain. This is a transactional domain. But there is another domain, as Sampadananda Mishra ji was telling, the fundamental, the foundational principles that never change. Swami Ranganathananda's book's name is Eternal Values for Changing Society. The title itself is very nice. Society may change due to some technological development, so on and so forth, but The fundamental values, they never change, and probably they are called, not probably, definitely they are called as Sanatana Dharmas, fundamental human values. So, Sampadananda Mishra ji was asking me to talk about general human values found in the Vedas. Am I right? Okay. Like Satyam Vada, Dharmam Chara, the same place. Vedamanuchya Acharya Antevasina Manushasti. Acharya is giving some instructions to the Shishyas in convocation. So, this is a convocation address. There comes Matru Devo Bhava. Matru Devo Bhava is not just to obey your mother. No. See the divine in mother. Matru Devo Bhava. Okay. Pitru Devo Bhava. See the divine in father. Obey your father, obey your mother can come in any scripture of the world. Yeah. But to see the divine in your mother, see the divine in your father is a very interesting thing. Matru Devo Bhava, Pitru Devo Bhava. Acharya Devo Bhava. See the divine in your Acharya. Atiti Devo Bhava. With all these persons we may see the divine, but Atiti is the one who is a stranger, one who comes to us without announcing the date, without getting any appointment order. So, even to such kind of Atiti, to show hospitality to him or her, we should see the divine in him. Atiti Devo Bhava. See the divine means to upasana. The hospitality itself is a kind of upasana. This is Manushya Yajna. And Satyat na pramaditavyam, Dharman na pramaditavyam, Kushalat na pramaditavyam, Bhutyai na pramaditavyam. Don't be lazy with Satya. Pramada has two meanings, laziness and also getting cheated. Okay, both are identical. So, Satyat na pramaditavyam. Don't be lazy with Satyam. Don't be lazy with Dharma. And I see personally the next two statements as the explanation of Dharma. Kushalat na pramaditavyam, Bhutyai na pramaditavyam. Kushala means expertise, Bhuti means auspiciousness, welfare, well-being. I take Kushala as Abhyudaya and Bhuti as Nisreyasa. Nisreyasa. Abhyudaya means social upliftment. That is, so the word Kushala indicates that. And then Bhuti indicates Nisreyasa. Nisreyasa means our own spiritual welfare. So regarding these two, don't be lazy. And these are the basic values Acharya gives to Shishya. This clearly indicates that this is the essence of the Veda. Human values are the essence of the Veda. This is how I view. General human values, they are the essence of the Veda. In fact, in my book, Veda, My Passion, I am quoting from my own book here. It's a little tough passage. A scripture for which the core is not humanity cannot narrow down the sins in the framework of anti-human values. A little difficult and little twisting paragraph. I don't know in what simpler way I can express this thought. Therefore, this passage has come. Let me explain this. Normally, when we go to the world history, sins are of two kinds. Okay, among the scriptures, including Bible or Quran, sins are of two kinds. One, general kind of sins, okay, where you can include hurting your parents and lying in the court, something like that, gambling, these kinds of sins. These are called as sins. Can we term them as general human sins? Okay, please remember this word. And localized sins, like don't have food without seat, without getting seated on a asanam, or after food you have to perform achamaniya, you should not, without achamaniya you should not eat. Something like that. don't, and of course, in Islam, for example, um, should not remain without namaz. These kinds of sins. Can we call them as localized sins? Okay, so sins are of two kinds: localized sins and general human sins. Okay. When I went through the Vedic mantras, the word mantra is very important here. When I went through the Vedic mantras, nowhere in the Vedic mantras I see localized sins. This is very interesting. Okay, Vedic mantras, if at all they talk about sins, they talk only about the general kind of human sins. Akshayramadivyaha, don't gamble. Vibhidaka, Sura, don't have liquor, don't consume liquor. Or Maham Rajan Anyakritena Bhojam, I should consume only when I earn, okay, only by my earning. Ma Gridaha Kasya Siddhanam, don't be greedy with others' wealth. When you see the sins found in the Veda, all the sins, generally in Vedic corpus, Vedic core, Vedic mantras or Vedic samhitas, all the sins are general human sins. Okay. When you have to come to the particular sins or localized sins, you need to come to either Brahmanas or Smritis, so on and so forth. Okay. I'm not telling they are all wrong, but when you go to the core of the Vedic mantras, you see only the general kind. So what does it convey? To me, it conveys that Veda represents humanity in general. Okay. This is what is given in this paragraph. A scripture for which the core is not humanity cannot narrow down the sins in the framework of anti-human values. Okay, that is this passage. So, one more thing I want to tell you regarding this. I am reading another passage here from the same book. They must have felt, they here means seers, okay, Vedic seers. They must have felt, nay, they did feel that all beings have to be taken or rather embraced as one's own self. All beings have to be loved and respected. This universal love is hidden within the wisdom of all pervasiveness of self. Without this, for what purpose they could have proclaimed in such a way? Without this universal love, getting a scholarship in all pervasiveness of self, and developing the rational to deliberate the infinity of self is futile. Hope that it is understandable. And normally, based on this Atman, the purity of self, the values are built, unlike what we saw in morning, unlike the superego of Freud, the imposed morality from the society. This dharma is from within. Okay, the inherent value of the self gets manifested for social welfare or universal welfare, and that is dharma.
Now see, he quoted few verses from the Upanishads and the Veda. Now if you mark, he said, Ma grudha kasyasvid dhanam. Just take this one sentence. There is plenty of others, it's a whole treasure house of wisdom, all the Shastras, because the Shastras are word. It's not something which was written or thought about. It's a record of the deep, profound, sublime realizations of the rishis, how they realized it. So the wisdom was something like a living experience for them, lived experience. So that is why in most of the things that you find in the modern education, say for example, like I was attending a conference, so the whole conference was on moral language. We didn't have something like this separately as moral language, ought. We didn't have moral philosophy. We didn't have a subject like psychology. Where psychology, philosophy, morality, it was all lived experience. It was well connected with life, or disciplined life. So there was no need to segregate it as a separate subject to be studied as a part of education. It was a lived experience. And towards that, the rishis were directing or orienting the students. When you say Ma Grudha Kasyasvit Dhanam, it's a very profound statement which says that you shouldn't have greed over anyone's property, anyone's possessions, belongings. And that anyone includes you also. So then you don't question that, okay, I will not have greed over others' property. Can I have greed over my own property? No. So Kasyasvit includes everything. That means like you shouldn't have greed. So where does greed lead to? Now let's link it with what the modern research says. So there was one famous economist, his name was McLaurin. Okay. This McLaurin, his entire life he dedicated to find out, I'm talking about 1960s. Okay. So in around 65, he submitted his thesis, his whole research report. So he did this research to find out why financial crisis takes place in every country. So he did his research, which country had a financial crisis, when, and went to the deep-rooted reasons of it, collected a lot of data, analyzed it, presented a beautiful report, and at the end he wrote, just a simple sentence, at the end he wrote, the root cause of all financial crisis, anywhere it takes place, the root cause of all financial crisis is nothing but the greed of the humanity. I'm not saying no rishi, no sadhu, no monk, no spiritual leader is saying. He's a famous economist. You can search his name on the internet and then find out what I am talking about. He says the root cause of all financial crisis is nothing but the greed of the humanity. And if humanity can get rid of the greed, there will be no scarcity. Right? Not only he concluded his report with this statement, his real search for how not to be greedy, how to get rid of greed continued, and then he first founded the School of Economics, now which has become the School of Philosophy all over the world. And there are thousands and thousands of members of schools of philosophy. Again, you can search in internet, School of Philosophy. There are members all over in America, in Australia, in Ireland, in UK. So various, members, they get well connected. And what do? These members? They have their own business, they have their own profession. But evening 3 hours compulsorily they give to study the Vedas, Upanishads, Gita, Shankaracharya, and then various other scriptures, and then have proficiency in Sanskrit. So it continued from 1965 to 1975. Just imagine, like, they decided that, okay, we are all doing good, but what about our children? Then, in the heart of London, they established a school in 1975 called St. James School. You can again search, you'll find a lot of videos. It's a school in UK which teaches Sanskrit compulsorily from age group 5 to 18. You go to their classroom, they have their own pedagogy, they have their own textbooks, and the children, the British children, they are teaching Sanskrit compulsorily because they found out that by learning Sanskrit, by coming in contact with the thought content expressed through Sanskrit in various scriptures like Veda, Upanishad, and the Darshanas and various Shastras, they are very helpful in shaping life and consciousness. They are very helpful in getting rid of many, many modern problems that we are facing. So that is the reason that you find that in the West and Europe, there is a lot of interest with regard to Sanskrit, and the Shastras are growing. And here is a school in the heart of London where you find that teaching Sanskrit, they're teaching Upanishads, they're teaching Gita, teaching Veda to the children compulsorily. It's not optional subject, compulsorily to the children, because they found, and then when the people come and then ask them question like, why Sanskrit in your school? Why British children have to do? So they say that our children, because we have Sanskrit in our school compulsory, our children do best in math, best in computer, they have a very logical brain, and their capacity of this grahana, dharana, smarana, samartha is at the top. So our children do best in their life. So this is what they have proved. This is how you can link the what power, what practicability or practicality is there in this ancient wisdom or ancient shastras or the ancient sayings, the wisdom, which has been there for thousands and thousands of years. So this is the story that it's something like the modern economists, scientists. You go to the NASA, like Rick Briggs. I give you another example, like based on what Panini has given, his Ashtadhyay is a perfect software program without the help of any hardware program, which is being studied by every computer scientist. Those who are doing coding, they can easily understand what is the importance and relevance of Panini. Okay. And the world has never been able to create another Panini. That is the level of scholarship and wisdom and the mind, the sharpness that he had. Okay. So this is where the relevance is. Now, I would again request Ranganji to throw some light, some of the practical aspects of the wisdom which is presented, say, in the Gita. Okay, very simple teachings of the Gitas, like how it is relevant to the modern life. Say, for example, this greed aspect, if we take, it not only says that you shouldn't have greed, it also shows the process how you will get rid of the greed, right? So if I carry greed, if I carry any such negative elements in me, so what it does? It does the Atma Vinasha. It is destructive for myself. Okay. So if I have to do the Atmodhara, if I have to deliver myself, save, protect myself, what should I do? So Gita has very practical solution to it. So it says, say, uddhared atmanatmanam na atmanam avasadayet. It says, you are the enemy of yours and you are the friend of yours. So how to understand where I am creating enmity and where I am becoming my friend. Okay. So keeping these things, so if you can highlight something and inspire the children.
Before going to the Gita topic, I just want to add one more point what Sri Sampadananda Mishra ji was telling. Greed. It's a wonderful finding that greed led to every financial crisis. And the first victim of greed everywhere, what I saw is the downtrodden of that society. That is how it goes. When we develop an urge towards our own materialistic development, first we start to attack or dominate or castigate the downtrodden, also women, in fact. So, in this way, in medieval history of the world, throughout the world we see this kind of trampling of downtrodden and women, and based on that various laws, ordinances, even some myths and superstitions, all these things were created. And uh, it tends to exist. That is, when we see a very rapid upward movement in society of some individuals, naturally we see the fall of several downtroddens. And that is why always our elders, fortunately, they gave this word abhyudaya. See, can be easily translated as development. Western world is talking about development, development, development. Is there any equivalent word for development in Sanskrit? If you ask, yeah, we also have a word that is abhyudaya. Abhyudaya is one of the dimensions of dharma. Dharma has two dimensions, as I already told you, abhyudaya and nishreyasa. Yataha abhyudaya nishreyasa siddhissa dharmaha. So, what is abhyudaya? Aya means movement. Ut plus aya, udaya means upward movement. Abhi udaya means upward movement around. Okay, development around. It's not of only my development. When development should happen around. Okay, this kind of abhyudaya model our Indian seers have proposed, and to some extent we follow that. And that is why in India, even though the development appears to be slow, but it is steady. You may be knowing that story of rabbit and a tortoise. Okay, so here, as the Prime Minister says, what is that? Sabka Saath, Sabke Saath, Sabka Vikas. Sabke Saath, Sabka Vikas is a kind of definition for abhyudaya. Okay. Coming back to the Gita, some values from Gita, that's what you are. Okay. So, as he started, Uddharet Atmana Atmanam na Atmanam avasadayet. Let us go to few other values. For example, Yogasthaha Kuru Karmani. Be in yoga and act. This is called as Karma Yoga, which appears to be an oxymoron, because yoga is featured with silence. Karma is action. How silence and action can go together? How we have to develop action from the in-depth silence? This question may come. Sri Aurobindo, in the language of Sri Aurobindo, this concept is called as Purushottama. Prakriti is always featured with action, and the Purusha is always featured with silence. But Purushottama is a synthesis of silence and action. Therefore, Yogastha Kuru Karmani, surrender yourself to Purushottama. So, we can be in silence to act. We can derive our action from the peace, internal peace. And being in internal peace, if we derive action, we will not be excited and getting bound to the results. Strong attachment to results can disturb our mind, take away us from the internal peace or internal silence. So, without having a strong attachment, karmani eva adhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana, ma karma phala heturbhuhu mate sangostu akarmani. So, without getting attached, strongly attached to the results, be in service for lokasangraha, do service, and that can lead us to, lokasangraha means universal welfare. For the universal welfare, do serve, and with the service attitude you serve. Krishna also adds this: without me, how this hospital can run? Without me, how this orphanage can run? Don't have that kind of attitude. While we are serving, we should feel, what is that shloka? Maye vete nihataha. I have already finished the war, O Arjuna. Nimitta matram bhava savyasachinna. You are just an instrument. So with that attitude, when we are serving in an orphanage or in a hospital or in a village, we should develop such a kind of service attitude that this can be done due to the divine will. Bhagavan is leading this. So anyhow it will be done. But I am thankful to the Lord that the Lord has made me his instrument to perform this. Okay. Taking this service as an opportunity, taking this service as a great fortune or blessing, we need to serve. You may be knowing Khalil Gibran. He says in his wise book, Prophet, work is love made visible. Okay. So this passage is a very essence of Karma Yoga. I think the Karma Yoga is the basic value in the Gita which we can easily follow. By that, we can gradually attain the purification of heart to further develop bhakti and jnana. These are the very fundamental values which we can inculcate from the Gita.
Thank you. So we will conclude this if there are some questions which will.
I can't understand the accent. If a foreigner
Ranganathanji, taking from what you said, be in yoga and act. And before you said about that the soul is already pure, the purification is about the adjuncts which are there. Am I audible?
Yeah.
So coming from the Darshana model, we speak about going from Nyaya Vaishesik, then Sankhya Yoga, and then Vedanta. Okay. So we have to talk in, let's say, from Sankhya, if I say first the separation of the Prakriti and Purush and then Vedanta. Is it a gradual journey or they are parallelly which we execute from?
Nice question.
Yeah.
Actually, in my view, it's a gradual journey only. But Karma Yoga, regarding Karma Yoga, even Shankaracharya is talking about two kinds of Karma Yoga in a very subtle way.
Sit for 10 minutes.
Regarding that shloka, what is that? Karmanaiva hi samsiddhim astitaha janakadayaha. In that context, in the commentary, Shankaracharya gives two ways of Karma Yoga. One, Sadhaka's Karma Yoga, another one, Siddha's Karma Yoga. Probably Arjuna's Karma Yoga and Krishna's Karma Yoga. So when we when we start sadhana to purify our heart, we perform Karma Yoga. This is one thing. But when we attain jnanam, after getting the self-knowledge, even after that for the universal welfare, one continues to work. This kind of Karma Yoga is a Siddha's Karma Yoga. So, in these, like Bhakti also, Sadhana Bhakti and Sadhya Bhakti, this is a Sadhana Karma Yoga, Sadhya Karma Yoga. In fact, the divine, the great Ishvara himself is a very great Karma Yogin. Being in that great jnanam, he is always working for the sake of dharma. His incarnation, everything is like that.
Any other question? All right. So before we conclude, because this is a Sanskrit lit fest, and all our discussions are happening in English, because we all are not familiar with the language, and slowly we have to become acquainted with this language. So let's learn few words of wisdom what we discussed, and then try to learn it and remember it. So our first one was Satyam Vada. Say Dharmam Chara. So Satyam Vada means speak the truth, right? Satyam Vada means speak the truth. Dharmam Chara, what does it mean? Like follow the dharma. Always follow the dharmic way, not adharmic way, not the way of adharma. So you may ask this question like, what is dharma, what is adharma? So anything which gives you truly joy, anything which doesn't divide the society, create any confusion, division, quarrel, okay, that is adharma. Everything which keeps us together, gives us collective happiness, okay, maintains harmony. So that is what is the dharma. So that's how we try to understand the difference between dharma and adharma. Adharma is all about division, quarrel, fight. Dharma is all about oneness. Dharma is all about being together, collectively being happy, where there is no jealousy for each other, no envy for each other, no enmity for each other. So that's how you try to understand, like, whatever I am doing, is it creating more problem for others and myself, or is it helping the society, helping myself and helping the society? Always put this question, right? Next, we discussed about ma grudha kasya swit dhanam. Say ma grudha kasya swit dhanam. Once again, ma grudha kasya swit dhanam. It means never have greed over any possession, right? Never have greed over any possession. Once again, ma grudha kasya swit dhanam. One more sentence which we highlighted is uddhared atmanatmanam. Uddharet atmana atmanam. Uddharet atmanatmanam. It means protect yourself by yourself. It means protect yourself by yourself. Okay, because you are your own strength and you are your own weakness. Okay, you have the power to protect yourself. So like this, even simple things, if you remember, like what I do, like any LIC agent comes to me, I ask him, tell me the motto of LIC, then I will discuss with you. Most of the LIC agents do not know what is the motto of LIC. Okay, so what is the motto of LIC? Anyone remember? Yoga kshemam vahamyaham. What is it? Yoga kshemam vahamyaham. It is again from the Gita. So this motto itself, if all the LIC agents or anyone who is doing LIC understands, okay, so you will find lot of wisdom in it. It says yoga means whatever you didn't have and whatever you are gaining, that is yoga. Apraptasya prapti yoga. So what I didn't have, now I have. That is yoga. And when I have something, I need to protect that. Otherwise it will vanish, it will go. So suppose you have a lot of money, you need to protect that money. You need to balance. You need to well utilize it. Otherwise it is of no use. So it says, Krishna says, yoga kshemam vahamyaham. So I take care of both your prapti and praptasya samrakshanam. So what you have gained, that also the protection of that. So now LIC takes care of what you gain and how to protect it, right? So there is lot of wisdom in small things. If you just concentrate on, say, our Bharat Sarkar, Government of India, all the different departments, their mottos, you will have lot of practical wisdom rooted in those. But we don't put mind into these simple things. We can learn a lot which can help us in shaping our life. So thank you all. We will close it here. Huh. Anti-gravitational force. I have no idea about it. Yeah. Achha, you were saying.
I was talking about gravitational force. Anti-gravity means going upward, right? Moving upward. Yes, gravity is pulling down. Anti-gravity is to go up.
Go up or not pulling down?
Not. Yeah. Okay, it's a standing. Okay, Trishanku Sthiti. Okay. I need to think a lot about it. I will recollect and come back. Yeah.
Like in the tradition, you have this Trishanku, this character Trishanku.
Yeah, please take.
Please have this. Yeah, the Trishanku Sthiti is neither it goes up nor it goes down. So it remains static. So this is called the Trishanku Sthiti.